Hi Gary, this is my leadership video. As Alice would say, please don't start counting yet. I just want to preface what I'm going to talk about and how I'm going to talk about it. I'll just briefly describe what my idea of leadership is, and then I'd like to go over some of the readings that had the most impact on me as a leader and what I hope to become in the future as a leader. And then I'll just do a quick summary of both of those points again, where I feel like I'm at right now as a leader and where I hope to be. Okay, this is going to go over. I've rehearsed it several times, and I'm not going to make 5 minutes, so cut me off if you have to. All right, here we go. A good leader is one whose vision brings the individuals of a collective to a higher ground upon which they could not have stood alone. And I'll repeat that because watching you do that in class, I found it really powerful, and as a teacher, I like that. A good leader is one whose vision brings the individuals of a collective to a higher ground upon which they could not have stood alone. So after I wrote that, I thought, oh, that sounds pretty good. So I had to Google it and make sure I hadn't inadvertently stolen someone's idea. So it might be original, we'll see. So here's my musings on the writings that I know have had and will have the most impact on me as a leader. From Cernak, Caring Power. The strongest leaders care and they share. They share the burden of leadership and they let all reap in the benefits of its success. From Social Justice, Grogan and Shakeshaft. If you're not serving the cause of social justice, you are serving the powers that align themselves against it. And that may sound cliche, and it is, but I believe it to be true. From Sir Giovanni, Stewardship. To be a steward, one must be a servant. Stewardship is service, but service to all, for all. It is a calling that requires sacrifice. It requires recollection of the past, presence in the present, in order to influence the future. Presence by Starrett. Presence in the present is the only way that one can fully give of oneself. To not be present is to not be. We can't do anything without being first. That means being present as much as one can in a world that makes presence extremely difficult. From Kramer and Lewicki, trust. Trust yourself first. Trust your vision. Trust your power and ability to fulfill that vision. Trust your faith. Trust your team. And above all, trust your heart. From Hargreaves and Fink, resourcefulness. Believe in the power of the human spirit and soul. Recognize the power that is inherent in an open system, like an educational system. The power to create energy, to exchange it, to conserve it if necessary. The unheroic side of leadership, Murphy. Don't be afraid to lead like a lamb in a world full of lions. Sometimes the best way to navigate a difficult and dangerous path is not to fight tooth and claw, but instead to wait, to watch, to ruminate, and reflect. Then take that bold first step. From Helsing, Immunity to Change, this is a direct quote. It may be that the capacity for self-authorship is therefore a psychological requirement for successfully conducting the adaptive work of change leadership, as it is for many other aspects of modern life. Keegan. We may unwittingly hold expectations that adults, educators, or even change leaders will automatically possess these capacities, just as a matter of course. I love that, because that assumption and expectation could be wrong. It's hard to change. From Wounding, Maslin, Ostrowski, and Ackerman. It's like riding a bike. You ride long enough, you're going to get in a wreck. How do you survive those wounds? How do you let them heal? How do you let your scars go? How will you become stronger rather than weaker from difficult circumstances in your educational leadership journey? Do you have the strength to triage your own injuries and see that you are not a victim of yourself? Burnout, Maslock and Leiter. Like any number of suns in our universe, we will burn out. Will it be a slow burn or a supernova? If you can keep in perspective that you can only do so much, and if what you're doing is your best effort, then that's enough. Self-care is critical. An unhealthy use serves no one. It may seem selfish for those with a servant mentality to step back and claim space for their own healing, revitalizing, and renewal. But if you don't claim that space, you're going to be consumed by the daunting nature of your task, our task. This calling is one of sacrifice, but when you're done, you should be whole enough and well enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor, that small part that you played in learning and in education. So right now I'm a leader that has a strong foundation in relationship building and teamwork, but I'm also one who's undergoing fundamental change. I know my strengths, but I must get better at turning vision into action and having the staying power to see it through. A weakness I'd like to address also is the occasional ennui and hopelessness that sometimes creeps in when I consider the enormity of the world's problems and our small ability to do anything about it. To combat this, I just have to remember my many encounters with former students, like this morning at Safeway when I was getting coffee, and seeing them with babies and family and talking to them and knowing that I did a good job. I was a good teacher and I had a powerful and positive impact on their lives. For a leader, that's good enough because it is good. Lastly, in the future, I hope to get into teacher education, which is, of course, as you know, helping others not just become educators but leaders. I know my experiences in my career in this field of study, and particularly in this program, will make me a better leader. And I hope to be a better mentor to future leaders because of that. The demands placed on me will be less in a way as an instructor in a college setting. It'll be different than a high school, but the nature of teaching does not change. I feel really lucky to still have that venue, the classroom, to continue to evolve as a teacher, a learner, a community member, and of course a leader. We can be all of those things at once. And I think to be a good leader, it's essential that you are all of those things. That's all I have. On a personal note, thank you so much. I really enjoyed your class a lot. And I look forward to talking to you soon. All right, take care. Have a good summer.